We're here. We're live. We're doing it. All right. It's what is today? The 27th. It is a Wednesday. Cool day today. Some sports things in the news. We'll talk a little bit about that. I guess people want to hear about it. Apparently, Travis Kelce's a big deal. It's been a big deal for a long time, people. Anyway, today we are talking about pain. And I wanted to touch, especially a few minutes on kind of understanding what pain is, how useful is the information that we get when our body is telling us something is wrong. Should you listen to everything? Should you be tuning into every single signal? That's a tough one. That your body is sending you. We'll go into that. I'll give some examples about stuff that you are feeling and not feeling right this second. And you will understand why you don't want to be feeling everything constantly. I love the little example of my twin 10-year-old daughters. They're freaking awesome. They light me up the second I see them playing and smiling. I have one who brings to my attention little injuries here and there constantly, and that's fine. We encourage them to feel things and explain what they're feeling, and let us explain to them, as they go through their lives, what's good, what's bad, it's normal. And one thing that's interesting is that I'm gonna do my best to let's call it contrive some difficulty in one of my girls' lives. And when she gets a bump or a bruise, I kind of give her a good, hey, good, that's great, and what I want to happen is that she understand a level of pain, understands a level of discomfort that I would encourage her to just overcome, to not necessarily give a lot of time to. If we're constantly stopped by the little pains and aches of day-to-day living, and those things stop us from doing the things we like, man, we would be stopped constantly. Our body is always feeling. So there is a way to turn this thermostat up and down. I mean, there's nerdy ways to talk about it. You can talk about descending inhibition and up and down regulation of your nociceptive pathways. That's all fine. That's not very useful to anybody who wants to learn about pain who isn't already an expert in pain. So when it comes to pain, understand that our body doesn't really have a pain sensor. There are sensors in our bodies that register activity when certain thresholds are met. So, if I push gently on the surface of my skin, look, I got pain on me. If I push gently on the surface of my skin, my body is sensing that there is something pushing on my skin. It's sensing it's a little harder. And at some point, if I push hard enough, I will stimulate sensors that only get kicked off when a big input is put in there. So that is our knowledge of how some of this works. I mean, there's all kinds of layers to this, and certainly explaining pain science in what's going to amount to a 6 or 7 minute blog over a quick cup of coffee is not going to answer all the questions. And understanding context is very important. Understanding history of a person's pain experience is very important. Excuse me. When it comes to the specificity of this kind of stuff, shoot me the questions. I'd love to go into great detail about any one of those things, especially when we have pain that sort of sticks around a long time. So that's what we're going to talk about here. And one of the things that we do, I guess, kind of well, is work to educate people on the why they hurt. It's hard to say why you got hurt. Hard to say what was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it is easy to say, okay, well, these things are further from normal than are optimal for your efficiency. That's a very complicated way of saying, well, you can move better. And when we don't have like an obvious deformity, or the arm isn't sideways or the elbow isn't backwards, I mean, you can go, well, we got to lump all this other stuff into pain that is not going to be addressed by surgery or big medicines. These are folks who you may have an MRI, may have an X-ray, you're kind of normal, but they're saying, I still have pain. I still feel something. And if it's a significant thing, if it's something that is pressing on or is stimulating the receptors in your body that only get kicked off with the high threshold stuff, then yeah, your body could sense this as like a dangerous pain sensation. So let's take all that into account now. And we'll have sort of two examples of folks. So let's take my 10-year-old daughter who is yet to experience a lot of pain, but certainly has had bumps and bruises. We haven't had anything where we've had broken bones or anything. So the majority of her pain has been of the kind that is self-limiting, of the kind that will likely go away, but bumps, bruises, scrapes, those kinds of things. And then you have folks who train all the time. Let's say they're exposing themselves to high levels of mechanical stimulation, probably chemical stimulation with what happens in your endocrine system when you're training, all these kinds of things. So you have two folks experiencing similar day-to-day pain sensations on their normal day-to-day, but their life, their context is one is dealing with high intensity, high threshold stimulation constantly and doing it on purpose and not stopping when it gets hard and difficult. And then this other person, in this case, my 10-year-old, one of my girls, doesn't. All right. So throughout their lives, if this is the way that they are going to operate, we're going to have a lot of feeling going on, and we're going to have a lot of sensation going on the side of somebody who doesn't put themselves through that threshold of activity or even intensity of moving around. What my job is to teach that not every sensation is important. Right now, any number of you are wearing a wristwatch, a t-shirt, a pair of socks. I can guarantee that the second you may not have been thinking about the feeling of your watch on your wrist, but now you are. And that is one of those things that our body goes, okay, look, this is a low level thing. I don't need to recognize it. If I spend chemical, physical energy, mental energy, concentrating on this bit of information, I'm going to miss out on bigger things. Our body has, an amount of information it can take in at one time. And then for folks who are feeling all the time, not only are they feeling these things all the time, but they are now not super sure about these things. This is something that is not a position of discomfort that my 10-year-old in this case has put herself in yet. So it's all foreign, it's all scary, and that makes the pain response greater. You have a higher chemical output from your endocrine system for being stressed and scared, and then all of the inflammatory and pain-mediating chemicals kind of go up. So it's really a cool process. It's multifactorial. It does not have to be, you be physically being poked for those chemicals to change how your body perceives these signals. And so I think I got everything. That's great. When do you want to go to somebody? Well, again, I tell people that a lot of pain is self-limiting, and a lot of pain, gets back to normal at some point. But we can optimize healing well. So let's say you're going along, and it's something is just not getting back to normal quick enough. If you have more than a week's worth of pain in an area that doesn't make a lot of sense, or you had an injury and it's more significant than you kind of give it credit for, more than 5 days, and if things aren't like looking sideways, you might consult somebody. And if nothing else, not so much to get treated, but maybe a better understanding about, well, this pain that you're having here at 7 days, at 10 days, 20 days is normal because we think you did this back then. You might have torn a muscle badly. You had a bruise, you limped around if it was a leg muscle, but you may not go to a doctor. You may not, go get an MRI, but you may have thought, I don't know, that was probably not a bad thing, but not a bad tweak. Come, 3 weeks later, you're still limping around on it. Okay, so maybe it was. And so maybe we can do some dry needling. We can do some soft tissue work. We can do some loading in different directions to get this to stretch back out. But at that point, given that injury, that pain would be normal. And I would have to tell a person, this is okay. I expect this. So with that kind of stuff in mind, we do need to know when to consult with a pro. Again, anytime something looking crazy sideways, and then once that advice has been given, where you can kind of compartmentalize, okay, this is normal pain or abnormal pain, I have a plan for that. It's time to harden, time to bulletproof. We don't want to deal with recurrent injuries, and we see a lot of ground reaction force folks, so golf, tennis, baseball, all those folks who are swinging, punching, kicking, throwing with their hips. We see a ton of them, and we see similar injuries because of similar asymmetries in these sports. So what we want to make sure is if they come in with an elbow or a shoulder or a hip injury that is affecting their ability to move around, and it is causing some pain and discomfort that they can't just ignore, we want to harden them. We want to make sure this never comes back. I've dared clients to go get hurt because we have bulletproof your back, knee, hip, whatever it is, to the point where now if you have pain, I need you to listen to it because it's so strong or it's better coordinated that you won't even feel the little pains. We've put you through the little pains. We've put you through the ringer on, like in the sterile environment of our clinic and our movement space. that is sort of harder than what your sport's going to demand. So now, once you have a better sense of what normal pain is, what abnormal pain is, you'll know then which pains to listen to. You'll have a sense of, all right, well, I've already learned now when I've dealt with this pain, I can do this, or this technique in myself. And now, guess what happens to your stress level hormones? They don't go up as high when you get an injury. This is amazing. So you have this huge after effect of just getting this knowledge. If you know how healing works, if you know what the pain sort of matrix looks like in the general terms, you don't have to deal with these little pains. So that is fun. What's up, Jeff? My man Jeff is here. Jeff's client profile is going out, I think, in a couple days. I'm excited about that. Well, we already put it out on YouTube, of course, but on Facebook, go check it out. Again, terrific viewing. We're very proud of everybody who comes here and trains hard here. We just love it. So go kick ass today, man. Freaking take names. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.